Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's Yoshi Living here, and today we are going to talk about the 3 things that you need to consider before opening a daycare. Okay, 3 very important things. So let's jump right in. First things first, please like, share, and subscribe. If you know anyone that is a fellow daycare entrepreneur and they need assistance in any type of way, I do consulting work. Tell them to stop on by Yoshi Living, leave me a comment or send me a message and we can link up and collaborate. All right, so let's get into it. 3 things that you must consider before opening a daycare center. So the first thing would be, why do you want to open a daycare, right? Why? Is there a need in your community? Do you have the skill set to work with families and teach students? Do you want to be a daycare owner or a daycare director? Because they're very different. And also, do you have a passion for working with children and families? Because although daycares teach students, you definitely have to have a passion for working with families because they go hand in hand. Families are the experts on their students, so we have to lean towards them in order to reach our students and understand how best they learn, okay? So that's the first thing. So the second thing would be, what ages of children do you want to teach? Do you want to teach infants? Do you want to teach infant and toddlers? Would you like to teach only preschool age, which is 3 to 5? Or do you want to teach school age children, which is 5 to 13? So you have to know your skill set and your passion and where you want to go with that. Of course, if you're doing in-home daycare, you can do all ages. You can do infants, toddlers, preschool, before and after care. If you own a daycare center, your center space will determine what ages you are allowed to have in your building. Okay, so a state representative from licensing will come out, measure your classroom, see how many bathrooms you have, and then they will tell you what your building can be regulated for. Okay, so speaking about building, let's talk about space, which is very, very important. If you are considering opening a home daycare, you have to look at your space. You have to see where you have available space to set up learning for children. If you have space for cribs, if you have space for pack and plays, if you have space for small toddler or preschool furniture, you have to look at your space to make sure that you have proper ventilation and that you have enough exits to leave your home if there was any type of an emergency, okay? Now, once again, considering the daycare site space, your state representative would come down once again and just regulate and manage and measure all of your site space, and they will tell you how many children you can have per classroom. They can tell you what age groups your building could be licensed for. So those are the first 3 things to consider before opening a daycare center. I want to back up and talk about being a daycare owner versus a daycare director. So in the field of preschool education, licensing requires a daycare site director to have certain educational credentials, right? A BA in education, a BA in early childhood, a master's in early childhood, so forth and so on. So you would be regulated by the state according to your credentials if you're in a daycare site. Now, if you are running an in-home daycare in the area that I live in New Jersey, there is no law that says that if you own an in-home daycare that you have to be licensed or regulated. We have a county program that will go out to regulate homes, but at the same time, they cap the number of children you can have in your home. And they also, they run background checks on everyone in your home. They want to make sure your pets have their shots. Everything is up to date. Of course, all those things are wonderful, but If for any reason you choose not to go through regulations for your home, if it's not required in your area, that's fine too. You can always make sure that you have a fire extinguisher, that you have the proper number of exits, that you have a exit plan in your home in order to get out of your home. But let me back up because I'm getting sidetracked. So a site owner could be someone simply that has the funds and says, hey, that building, I want to make it into a daycare. And then they hire all the people to manage it and run it, right? They will hire a site director, they hire staff, they hire office staff, administration, so forth and so on. So those are the differences. And if you are a site director, 9 times out of 10, if you have staff that are out, there could be a situation where you have to step in the classroom. So you have to know if you want to be hands-on with students and staff, or if you just want to own an establishment and hire people to run it for you. Okay, so I know I gave you a lot of information. I got a little bit sidetracked, but keep in mind the 3 things that you need to consider before opening a daycare. So on our next video, we will talk about regulations. We will talk about municipal regulations, if your town has regulations for daycare, and we will talk about county and also state. So if you are considering opening a daycare and you need help doing research for your municipality, county, or state, reach out to me. I can always and I'm always willing to assist. Okay, so send me a message, leave me a comment. Thank you for those that have liked my video. That was my first one. This is my second one. Trust me, y'all, it's gonna get better. Just give me a minute. Trust the information that I'm giving you, okay? That is what's most important. Don't worry about all that other stuff, okay? Everyone have a great evening. Be blessed. Be on the lookout for my next video where we are going to talk about daycare regulations, okay? Bye-bye.